or you want to learn more about something, please use this time and definitely chat or unmute yourself to ask. I've got 2 people on for today, 3 people actually. We've got Eggman, who I'm not sure if he's here or not. It's you, Chris. Yeah, yes. Where are the glasses though? Hi, Dorian.
What's up?
What's up? All right, so we've got Eggman today. We're going to talk about child relationships and data tables. You can show us what you're working on in your project, and then we can go through it. We've also got Zspacemans with some data listeners troubleshooting, and I think that's all that I have on my list. So Chris, if you're down, we can start with you first.
Okay, can you hear me okay? I'm in a cafe, this coffee's better.
Sounds good.
And it's 8 o'clock in the morning here. Right, so
Chris, is this your first office hours you've ever come
it
to?
is, yeah. First time caller, long time listener. Kind of thing. Yeah.
All right.
So let me just pull it up here. Right, so what I'm trying to create is I'm trying to use your nice little template that you guys created, and kind of having a play with trying to do stuff to see if I can do my own thing. Basically what I'm trying to create is a social commerce platform for businesses to use to allow their customers to bulk buy stuff and donate as part of that. What I have is like the main authorization, but the main admin hub for me, I suppose, in this case, which I love the infinite like workspace, by the way. This is super refreshing. So basically, it just the zooming in is always a bit funny for me, to be quite frank. The just basically dealing with everything that the admin would have to deal with, and setting up products and pricing that will flow across the different mini groups, I suppose. And then we've got the group dashboard itself for the admin to run of the actual personal group, which they can do their own group members, notifications that I can send through from my end to them, all that kind of stuff. The problem I'm kind of having, or not problem, but I don't know, to be honest. I'm a poultry farmer, so this is diving into a world that I love to play in, but have no idea what I'm doing. So, I'm more nervous.
Don't be nervous. This is the perfect space for beginners.
Okay.
The fact that
All
you've
right.
done what you've done so far.
Oh, you're
means
nice to me.
that
That's
you're
really
well
kind
on
of you.
your way.
Okay. To be fair, Drew's, I think you're the voice on the video from the tutorial on relational data. Just a point of clarification, don't Google or don't put in YouTube relational builder, because you get a whole type of all kind of funny videos.
Now I'm going to have to go do that, Chris.
We're not helpful. Okay, so the trick I'm having is I don't quite know how to get members to put their orders in. So what I've done here is I've got like, how do I explain it? So what I want is pop up so that the member can place in their orders to their group. Version 2 will be that the admin will open up a block of time in which members will be able to log in and do their own ordering and that kind of thing, but we'll get there once I know more. And so I need a date, like a code, and then so the summary of data I need from this to flow into this. Now, when it comes to the whole list grid thing, I can get this to pull down into this easy enough. But then how do I create a summary of these sort of things to pull into here? Because it's kind of like a grid thing. Yeah, so should I be having another collection of this, creating a summary data for this that goes into here, and then when I click this row, it will pull up this? Or I suppose maybe not so much the technical side of things, but how do I think about this?
That's what I would do, I think. That's what I was thinking when you were talking.
Okay, just have another collection that pulls the summary data.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like, it's almost up to you. There's all different, you could kind of just choose what you want the experience to be. But if you're gonna like have a whole nother list, I would just have like a little pop-up of some sort. And you kind of just have to make that, however you want.
Okay. And then I see from later videos in your tutorial, Drew, you go, well, if we click a row, then it pulls up the pop-up to be able to edit that data. If I would do that with these rows here, right? Because currently, when I did a straight grid of these, it pulled down the actual selection list into the grid view. So I had to make it a text only thing that pulled the text across. But then that means then they have to click on the actual record to be able to modify the data. Could we have it that the drop down can stay in here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can do
That
that.
makes
have
sense.
it where the fields on the row display are actually editable. I
Yeah.
think a good video. I don't know if we still have that, Cora, where you build the list app, or is that a video Mark created? 'Cause that would be a good example, similar to what you're trying to do here. Because that goes over like how to do the click event on the row to open and edit an item.
Yeah, so that would be opening edit the item. We couldn't do editing the item within the row from
How
a
do
grid,
we,
from
yeah.
a grid list.
can we just walk them through how to set up inline edit here? And just to be clear, let's zoom out a little bit, because what we see here on the new order line, the form that you have there, that page called new order line, it looks like where you're building out the order, right? With
Yeah.
is it for a single member at a time? Like a
Yeah,
single,
so
okay,
this
a single customer.
this member pulls down their members based on their group from a collection.
Gotcha.
So everyone's signed. So it's made for like office blocks. That so COVID brought a problem here in New Zealand where you couldn't get out to do anything, but you still had to go to work. So getting stuff sent to the office, because the supermarkets were always running dry, everything like that. So it's the food thing. So rather than having, in New Zealanders are super lazy, so it's going, well, I want convenience, so I'm going to go back to the supermarket. So I'm trying to get the convenience to be, well, one person's got to deal with everything. It's all going to deliver to your office or some centralized location. You break it down there. So that's where it kind of started. And I've got a few groups. It's all based on forms built in some other another program. And it's just super clunky, and updating pricing is real hard. And then I stumbled across you guys. And yeah, love at first sight, but then go, oh, this is a bit of a learning curve. And so we try, yeah.
Okay.
And
Sorry, real quick. So we've got where you're creating the order here, and then the page on to the right of that, is that a list of all the orders, right?
No, so the orders populate down here for this one allotment of this one order. And then I just need the summary to come across here of the date, the order ID, which would be handy not to use the one that Builder provides in the collection because it's so long and doesn't really mean anything.
Actually, yeah, you can store it as that and then convert it when you display it. That's
okay. That's kind of a cool thing. So,
Okay, gotcha.
and then something like that, and then obviously a status that I can then update to, well, it's on its way, everyone's paid, whatever.
Okay. Dory,
yeah, so it's, yeah, no, sorry.
oh, no, you're good. So I think one is we're going to try and figure out inline edit. And then the second, you want to figure out how to display a summary or those orders here again with
Yep,
certain
because
info.
this sits in the dashboard.
Okay.
I've changed the tasks, I think. That was in your
Gotcha.
SAS
Okay.
template into the template.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to see like how you have your data collection structured. Do you have data collection set up for these already?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm assuming you have two of them, one for the orders and then another one for the
Yeah, so
markings.
well, because
The orders.
each drop down, each selection thing, I'm pretty sure I'm using the right terms, guys, if you
Yeah.
don't know what I'm talking about.
No, you're good. Yeah.
But yeah, the selection thing feeds off a collection, what is that? Yeah, collections. And so each one has their own members product. And this is the products is what I want to alter from the main authorization. So the price increase or price changes can be reflected across all subsequent groups. Really easy. And then so each one of these feeds off one of these. And then this, oh, sorry, this somehow pushes to this, which turns it into text, which then, because when I had a straight copy of this down here in the separate page, it brought the selection drop down into the child thing, but didn't bring any of the data that was placed in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And those child records, that's what you're saving into the orders data collection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. Can we go to the add to order button and see the flow when you're adding that? So maybe we can fix that really quick too, and then we can move on to the editing of the inline row. Yeah, so go into that. I'm guessing it's doing a create. Yeah. It's going into the orders. So right now you're capturing a member name, which is coming from the member select.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the product name, which comes from there, quantity, which is coming
Quantity,
from
yeah.
a number input.
Yeah, so just the 3 fields.
Yeah, and right now, if you go into your data collections and look at the actual data, none of those values are coming through.
Okay, so if I go to
so it is working. So it is grabbing the info.
it is grabbing it, because when I preview
Okay.
that page, when I've now converted it to text, it shows it up fine.
Okay, so it does show. So the only
Yeah.
thing you need help on with that row is just changing those from display inputs, or I mean, from display elements to editable elements, right?
Yeah, well, that's unless I do the extra flow of clicking on the row and being able to open a pop-up that then allows you to
edit.
alter that row. Yeah.
Okay,
And
and is that do you prefer to go that method, or do you want
well,
to
what's best use case? What's best practice?
My comment UXY would be opening it into a light box, like having them all having form fields for every row. I think wouldn't
I think
like.
It does depend though. If it's really quick and like 1 or 2 fields, that's when I would keep it in line. Otherwise, the light box is like more clear. But like
Yeah.
it just in case, because it really is only like 2 fields, I think, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So it
Are
might
they
be fine.
Quantity, Chris, or are they also allowed to change the product?
Both.
Oh.
So it's
Product could be dropped.
someone's gone in and put in all the data. Like version 1 is an admin's doing all the work. And then so they go, oops, I made a mistake. Johnny actually wants 5 trays or whatever.
I would
Then
do
rather than-
inline in that case. If
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
like
think inline
doing
better
it.
user.
So then when I
experience,
tried the inline thing,
less clicks.
it was just pulling through the selection, but not actually what the order was. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, let's try the inline method. That'll be the easiest one to set up anyways.
Okay.
So if you go to the row and
This
no, the actual page go in there. And we can leave those elements if you want, just so we can see, and you can delete it after.
Yeah.
Or you can change them to just be labels. I don't know. I guess you don't need it. You already have a header anyways. But essentially we just need to, you can just copy the elements actually that you have on the orders up above and paste them into that order input row. So like if you click on the product select in the page above the page that we're in right now,
This one here.
click on the select
Yeah, right there.
a little higher. Make sure to get the actual select
You've lost me.
where it says product.
Yep.
The drop down. Yeah, click
right.
that.
Yep.
And then I think you can right click and just do copy. Yeah. And then let's go to the actual row below. Click in there.
In
Not this page, but the other page. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. Click on it first to select it. And
Yeah.
then click on the left side where it says content. And then do a paste in here. And then on the right side, it's already on events. To trigger the save, we just need to change that to auto save. So right there in that first change event, we're going to select auto save. And then in the data, I believe this should probably be the same, but let's just take a look. So here we just need to change the data collection. So we need to change it right here. And no, go back to the record. Yeah, change this to be orders instead of products. And then the field will be the product. I think it's what you called it also, product name. And I think that's it. And the reason this works is because the row knows the context of the data that's being set to. And because we are now setting its actual value from the same data collection, which is orders, when you change it and it has the auto save, it's just going to save it back to that field. And whenever data is set into a grid list element, it automatically brings like the ID and things like that if you're getting all the fields. So it knows the context.
right.
But if
So
we,
then if they change that here, then this will reflect in the original order because it's really nicely pulling across that row data and stuff.
yeah, like it knows and it'll just work. Like we can test this. You'll see that it'll update the data, and essentially it's the same thing for the quantity. We'll have to do the same thing we did.
So we're pulling.
Yeah, so
Click.
right click on it, let's copy it. And then let's go to the other page and let's paste that in the content. Oh, you'll need to go copy it again, yeah. And then go to the other page.
And edit that bit out, right? Or can I see that on YouTube, right?
Yeah, and then let's paste it here. And then we just need to go to the events and turn on the auto save. And then in the data, that needs to come from a field, which is the orders collection. And the data field is quantity. And that should do it. And then we can delete the other ones if you like the display ones, if you don't want to have those in there.
So these here.
Yeah, yeah. Make sure to, or yeah, it did work. Okay, good. Cool. Okay, and that should do it.
So, yeah, yeah. All right.
Are you able to test it out to do the preview and see this page easily? You should test it out.
All right. Look at that. Good. Oh,
So
you
like
guys
if
are
you
clever.
refresh now, that top one should stay at 6, and that's how we'll know it's saved. Nice.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Thanks, guys. That was easy.
What else you got?
Oh, so much, but let's just let's just maybe go on someone else in the big time, because otherwise this is like a personal, whatever. I'll,
We can rename it to Chris's office hours.
that's right. Yeah. Perfect.
All right. Excellent, Chris. Well, that's great. I love the auto save. So what that means, if you have any fields like that and any changes made, if you have auto save to run on that changement, that means any changes to it, it'll automatically save. So you don't have to have the whole separate button called save where you save the change to the record and all that. Just auto save on the change event is what you need to do. Okay, so next up, we've got Spaceman. Come on up if you are on the call and you need help.
All right. Make sure I'm unmuted.
Yep,
Okay. We good?
we
Yep, we
are.
can
What are
see.
you working on?
Okay. So I've got this we'll call it a presentation slideshow app that I showed a week or two ago. And the data lister is still not working, but I kind of want to step back here and kind of tell you kind of what I want to achieve so I can kind of make sure I'm actually going about it the right way. So the first thing is that there could be 3 users at any given time, maybe at the same time, using the presentation app. Okay. So maybe there's a scenario where I do need to create users to access it. Secondly, let's see here, get a list. Oh, these check boxes here. This is kind of a question. So I put the name in, it'll show, right? It'll be something like that. That's the cover. You'll click these boxes and it'll show that particular slide. When I check these boxes, there will be data attached to this. So maybe it's some type of contract, an upcharge of some sort. When I do that, is that data able to flow to, say, a contract and then fill in those blanks, download it as a PDF and print it out for somebody to sign? That's just an example. And then that's basically it.
Yeah, it's definitely doable.
It's doable. There's like a couple steps in there, but it's
Yeah. So it sounds like, if I remember right, we were looking at this last time. And we didn't have like the top level record. So right now it essentially would only work for one, right? So like if somebody else went to this admin page and changed the customer name, it would effectively only have the one because we only have the one record.
Correct.
Because we're targeting a specific record. So the first thing we'll need to do is change that part so that we no longer target a specific record, but instead, when we go into a customer, a specific customer, we have a slideshow record auto-generated for them that's linked to them always, so that it uses that record ID for that specific customer. That being said, maybe we don't even need the slideshow record, and these are just fields appended to the customer record. You know, that way you don't have to do a second get, like, because you already have the context of the customer, right? Like they're opening and going to that specific customer record.
Yeah, and well, they're going to just make a new one, right? So they start here, they would launch the presentation, put in the name, and at that point, it creates a new record, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so I would just leverage the customer record. That way you're just managing their record. And then in there, you just have the one field where you're just tracking essentially the stage that you're, or the step that you're in for that slideshow. And one thing you can do is you could do a check where you're like looping through it every X amount of time to get around the data listener issue. It's just in JavaScript, it's just going to check and pull to see what the current step is at. And that should get it to work. And then you don't have to worry about a data listener breaking on you or not.
Okay, so I don't know how to do that.
Do you want to lead this one, Drew, or do you want me to walk them through the setup? Or
It's up to you, but I can definitely do it if you want. But I still have a question about the when they're downloading the PDF and stuff. Is that part of sequential steps, like I think Dorian's thinking, or could that be like random extra things? Like, is that a second part of this?
It could be random if they didn't want to show the slideshow, I guess. My thinking would be that they would have to show the slideshow in order to actually get to the contract.
But like each thing that you check could just have one thing at the end, basically. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, so like this might be, let's say, a tire warranty. And then this might be, I don't know, windshield warranty. It doesn't really matter. But each time they check, I could probably send you what I have to build out. What it might look like, but it's something I can't really show here.
yeah. And I'm assuming this is like the process when you're buying a vehicle.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, and I understand.
This is the worst part about buying a vehicle. I'm trying to make it fun.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Yeah, because that presentation display is up on a monitor somewhere, just showing the progress for I guess the customer, right? To see.
Yeah.
And they're not interacting or doing anything. It's just display only.
Correct.
So for the first step, then we're basically just going to save a value for which of those 5 slides is selected, right?
Yeah. So the way I was thinking is like when a user, like an admin, goes to this admin site, they enter the customer name and then they'll click a button or I don't know, some validation or whatever needs to happen. And then that's going to create the new customer record. And now we now have the customer ID from the response. And then as they progress through each slide and they click that, all we're going to do is just save the step into a field on that customer record. And that's all that's happening here. There's really no logic. All it's doing is like, all right, I'm on step 1, save step 1.
Isn't this saying though, isn't this you're selecting which of those 5 are going to be the steps in the slide presentation for that customer? Like you're not actually going through and then selecting them.
Oh, I see. Is that how it works?
I think, yeah.
Or is it progressing as they're clicking the buttons? Like, is
that is a great point. So not each, say, finance manager operates the same. So one might want to show 2 first, and another one might have a little bit of a different approach and say, well, I don't really care about 2. I want to show 4.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's just the one. Essentially, the answer is they're only going to be on one step at a time, and it's being displayed live as they're clicking it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Then yeah, it's just the one field. Because then on the presentation side, we just have a condition that's just checking every X amount of time to see what the status or what the step is on. And if it's different than the one that it's currently on, then it goes through the logic, which would be a switch that then calls the different flows for each step. And then that should do it, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So let's start with creating the customer then. Go back to this one here. So what do they click that button to submit the customer?
Yeah. So I just added a data create record there.
Okay. And do you want to use a separate slideshow record, or do you want to just create the customer record and use that record to track the steps that they're on the slideshow?
Well, I think you'd want to create the customer and then I guess
We can have
That's-
both. It's just we do two creates. We first create the customer, we get the customer ID back. And then with a slight wait between them, we immediately create the slideshow record and we just grab the previously created ID record
oh, okay. Okay.
and push it to the slideshow record. That way there's a relationship that this slideshow belongs to that specific customer.
Yeah. Yeah. And that would be good because if that finance manager ever wanted to go back in time and maybe look at the records to see, if the customer got this one or, 2 or 4, would they be able to do that in that scenario?
And either way,
Okay.
they can move it.
Whatever is the
Essentially-
most functional and best way then. Now, my first question is, do I need to delete these data listeners then?
Yeah, we can get rid of those. So we'll change it and not use those. Yeah, it's up to you. Do you want to have a separate record for the slideshows or just keep it? It's easier on the customer because we're just using one record, right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, then let's do that. So let's go back to that flow where we're creating the record and let's select the customer data collection in there. So at the top, instead of slideshow, let's change that to customer.
Oh, okay, interesting. So that actually is. So should I create a new
Are these
collection here?
customers different than the customer collection?
Yes, yes.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, then let's just use the slideshow records then.
Okay.
Is there a tie? Do you need a tie from this collection to your original customer collection or not?
That would be amazing. I don't know if it's really ready for that. Really, they're two separate apps.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Later you can tie it anyways.
Okay.
You'll have the data and we can figure out a way to link them. Okay. So then we'll use the slideshow. So it's already doing that. We have the customer name. And do you want to have a default step?
Yeah, it should be the cover.
And right now the cover on that page, is that just like the main div that's on there, or do you have a flow that makes that display?
So I added the flows for cover, and then slide 1, slide 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on.
Okay, so the cover gets displayed through a flow. Okay, so we can just use like 0 as the value to trigger the cover. Because one thing you can do later is on these buttons, you can have like a special one that says, go back to cover. And all you're doing there is just setting the status to 0.
Okay, so is that in the flow?
Yeah, so on this save, we need to map one more field, which will be, I think we had called it as in the create. Go to that create. That's it there. Yeah. Open that and then add another field. And I think we called it step, if I remember right. Yeah. And then change the value to bring instead of from element, go to just text. So it's static and we'll just hard code the value to 0. All right.
That's text, you said?
Yeah, just text.
Okay.
And then do 0. That way, anytime it creates a new one, it's just going to default to that. Okay, so then that creates our record. We're pulling the customer name value from the input. We're defaulting the step to 0. Okay, and then now let's click on one of those, like the steps in the UI there. Like, where do they click?
So they would click right here on this card 1, card
Okay,
step one.
and take me into that flow. So this, we need to do an update. Okay, so right here, we need to change that new value. It's no longer going to be hard coded because we're creating a record every time they click that button now. Instead, we're going to change that to come from a variable. And I don't remember what the variable name is. It new record ID? If not, let's go back to the create flow. And yeah, click that, and all the way at the bottom, there should be copy that. So that's the variable where it puts the new record ID. And we'll have it on this page to use. So on here, yeah, so click in that variable name and then just paste that in there. And we'll need to go to all the steps and do that same change.
Okay.
That way it's now dynamically targeting the record we just created.
Oh,
Maybe
I probably need to copy
yeah,
that. Don't I?
yeah, copy them and then just change the step value. So that one will be 2.
Okay.
All right, and then I think that's it on this side because we're creating the record. We're now updating the statuses whenever they click on any of those. Later, you can add a link if you want to have a similar setup that essentially sets the status to 0 if they ever want to show the cover again. So now let's go to the other page, the presentation. So let me ask you a little bit on this. This presentation, how are they going to this? Is it a separate monitor
Yes.
on a different machine? Okay.
Well, same machine, but
It's just
the third monitor, basically.
a third monitor. Okay, got it. Okay.
And
so
if I'm going way too long, you can cut me off whenever. I know I can see that I'm already on here for. Okay. All right.
We're good.
Yeah.
We just have one thing after you for John. So, and we've got 20 minutes left.
Cool. So what we need to do is we essentially need to create a dynamic route for this page. Because what we need to do is back on the first page, after the record is created, we then need to show like a little link that the admin person can click that's going to open that other route that's going to push the record ID as part of it. And the reason we need to push that is because we're now dynamically targeting the record we just created. That way in the presentation, it's linking to the correct record. I don't know if that makes sense.
It might when I go back and watch this 5 times.
Cool. So we can use, I don't know if you already have a link. What's the one to the right of that? Is that like an open link?
Yeah. So basically what that's all that's just.
Oh, that one's editing.
To edit it. Yeah.
So maybe drop another element and you can style it later.
Okay.
That can be like the link that opens the presentation for this record.
Okay.
And then let's go into the route that you have set up for the presentation page. And then we'll come back to this page here.
So this.
So go up at the top where you have your project name. Let's go to the URL routes. Higher, like left. One more there. And then go to URL routes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And what's that one? Yeah, go into that. And then in the dynamic page data section, let's toggle that to enable it. And let's add a mapping. And the data collection is the slideshows. And the field is just the ID. And we're going to pull that from a server-side segment. And it'll be the first one, so it's just 0. And then that's it. We can close out of this. And then now let's go back to the admin page. Yeah, that one here. And let's go to that new link we added. And then let's create that flow. And whatever you want to call it, open presentation or whatever the name is. And on here, we can just do like an, probably just open in a new tab, search like new tab. Because we don't want to take over. So go down one and then to the right. See open page. Yeah, that one. And then do new tab. And then for the routes, yeah, it's the Wi-Fi presentation. The fourth one, yeah. And then after the route, we're going to change this, instead of text, we're going to change that to a concatenate. And the first value is just going to be a /. We're just building the URL essentially. And then click add another value. And then here, change this to come from a variable. And we need to push it the new record ID. So I think you still have it copied, just paste in there. Yep. Okay. And then that should do it. So this will now open the presentation, pushing the new record ID we created, where this route now has dynamic data. So it's going to target that specific record ID. And when that opens, we now have that specific record context that we can now use. So if we go to the presentation page now,
From the admin or the actual?
back in the studio, we need to
okay,
go
I'm
add
sorry.
all the logic there now.
Okay.
Yeah, so scroll to the right and go to the other page now. And let's look at what we have in here. Go to flows and go to page load. I just want to see what's in there now. All right, go to page binding.
Oh, this was from, sorry, let me go back to that real quick. So I think I may have put this in there based on.
Yeah, this one we won't even need anymore.
Okay,
You
so
can
let me
remove
delete
it.
that then.
Yeah, and
Okay.
instead, let's go ahead and bind that so we don't forget that. Go ahead and click on the name element, like in the actual page there on the left, in the middle, I mean. Like where it says name.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then go to data. Oh, I think we already have it bound. Data at the top right.
Gotcha. Of course, I put in data.
No, we already have it. That's perfect. That'll already handle it because we're pushing the context. So it'll find the specific record and set that. Okay, let's go back to the flows. And let's go into the page binding. And then in here, what we'll need to do is we need to essentially create a timer action. And what it's going to do, it's just going to run a condition. Yeah, that one. Go ahead and click that. And we don't have the condition yet, but repeat. I think repeat, we leave it was empty. So it repeats.
You can do a repeat 0 for
a repeat 0.
Go forever. And endless you can ignore.
I guess we need to select the flow to set the amount of time. All right, let's create a flow. Go to new flows on the left. And then just call it like switch dash step or something like that. I don't know. And then in here, let's add an action. This is going to be a switch. Yep, let's add that. And then the value, instead of text, change it to come from a data collection. Or actually, we can do current record. That'd be easier, right?
Yeah.
That one,
Oh,
yeah.
yep.
And then go ahead and pick which is the slideshow. And then the field is the step. And then in the first value, I guess that first flow, you can just set the cover,
Yeah.
set the cover flow.
Flow to run if no match is found, though. It defaults to the cover if there's no.
Exactly. And then in the first value, just enter 1, and the flow to run is going to be slide 1. And then add another right there. Yeah. And repeat that until you add all 5 of them. Cool. And then click the 3 dots of that condition switch to go into the JSON. And in that first value, where is it? Line 32. At the end of comma separated, put a comma, and we need to add a new property. I don't remember what it's called. 1 second.
I don't even know what's going on.
We need to turn the cache off. So every time it loops, it pulls the new value. Or do you remember what that property is called?
No, I don't. Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah.
Thank goodness for office hours.
This is just because we're going to get around the data listener until we can, figure out what's happening there, why that one is not working in here for some reason.
Hacky, hacky, hacky. Stops hacking, Dorian.
All right. 1 second. Where is it? Okay, it's actually just called cache with a value of false. Do a carriage return after the comma just to keep it nice and formatted. Or not a comma, I mean, leave that comma, but do a carriage return. And then wrap the word cache in double quotes.
I honestly don't know what I care.
Just press
Enter, press enter or return on the keyboard. Press it right there. There you go. And then do an
Wait,
open.
hold on. How do you know how to do so much, but you don't know what a carriage return is? I seen you, spaceman.
I don't think carriage return is very common. I think that's like a super technical way to put it.
Let me chat GPT that real quick.
That's awesome. So yeah, wrap that word in double quotes.
Quote there.
Just like it is.
Double
No,
quotes,
just like
Just like above it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
All right, I got it. I'll erase that one real quick. Hold on.
yeah, remove that one. And then it's gonna be followed by a colon. And then wrap it again in quotes.
A colon, not a semicolon.
Oh, my bad.
Oh yeah, nice catcher.
we
There
go.
you go. And then in there, just type false, all lowercase. Cool. And then click save and close at the bottom. Okay, so now let's go back to the page binding.
Okay.
And go to that timer. Yep. And the flow, we're gonna select that switch step 1. Yep.
Switch step.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. So the interval, we'll do seconds. And then, I don't know, how often do you want it to check? Maybe like 10 seconds, 5 seconds? Maybe do
So
like
is this
3.
just asking it like,
Yeah, it's just gonna go loop and just check. Is
Like
there,
every certain amount of seconds, it's gonna say
well,
what step
yeah,
you're in.
I would say probably, I don't know, maybe a minute. I mean, some of these guys are pretty long-winded.
well, I mean, like when the user clicks the button to save the new step, how long of a delay do you want before the presentation updates? I'd say pretty quick, right? Like do like 3 seconds. Do
Okay.
3
seconds.
We'll do 3 seconds. That's,
Yeah, and if you want it faster, you can just set it to 1 or, you know.
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Right now, we're not handling where if it's the same step.
It shouldn't matter. Oh,
It doesn't
it's
matter. It's all
reset.
JavaScript, so I think it's fine.
It might not
We
matter.
can handle that later if we
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it, right? I think that should do it.
I think you can test it.
Yeah, so refresh this and then close that one because we're gonna open that one from the new link.
Okay.
And let's try one.
Oh, I guess I should probably put a name in there, but it does say customer name.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
try
should
it
do
again.
it
Close it
because
and
I don't
then-
think it created a
First.
record. I think that was just finding a blank record.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. Because you'll need to click whatever saves the
Yeah, first,
custom
yeah,
first.
first that one.
Saves it.
Yeah, and you might tie those to the same link. Like when
Uh-huh.
it creates it, auto open the other one. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
Okay, so hit
For
that.
now, it's separate.
It says
What was the name we gave it?
URL, but I don't know why. that
Test.
didn't work.
Test. It should work, right?
Yeah.
Grab that last value in the URL. Yeah, copy that. And let's go to the data collection for the slideshows. And
It's
you can just
saving
paste.
customer name. That's weird.
We're probably selected the label instead of the input, maybe.
I wonder if that is the case. Let's see. So it's creating it here. So create record.
Yeah,
and-
it's the label.
That's the label. I do that all the time. I just did that in the live demo on Wednesday.
So click in there and select the input. You can tell by the icon.
Maybe
Oh,
passed it
where am I at? Oh,
down one.
input. Of
That
course I
one.
did. Jeez.
There you go.
All right.
So let's try it again.
Okay. So now we're gonna edit it. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, I need to edit the. Okay. Save it. Open that. Ta-da! Perfect. Okay, and now.
And now let's go leave this open and let's go change the step.
Yeah.
Go back to the other tab. And click on like step 2 or something.
Oh.
And I don't know what your flows do over there for step 2, but is it supposed to change anything?
No, because
Like
I
go to
don't.
the
It's not even
presentation.
linked up on here, I don't think.
Oh, are they not linked up?
Well, I think you just clicked on one. I didn't see any events.
Oh yeah, there's no events. You gotta add
No,
the-
because I don't. That was kind of like where I started. Like, how do I even have something happen here that happens there?
Yeah, you just need to add them to the click event.
Now, what you're doing is like you're setting a database value that the other page is just going to check for every 3 seconds. So that's how you're doing it. It's like when you click those blue buttons, you're changing a database value. The
Mhm.
next time the other page checks it, it's going to switch something.
Mhm.
Okay, so
So just like how you have the click event on the first one, that's good. You just need to replicate that setup. No, he does have it.
no, I do for sure.
Go to the data collection and let's see that it update to 2. So maybe the update didn't work.
Yeah, I don't see any 2s.
Yeah. So let's do this. Go to the second tab and let's open the developer tools and go to the network. And then click on step 2. And click on that request that appeared on the right.
On that
It starts with the
ED.
ED,
PAA.
like
Yeah.
under the name column there. More down. Down, or one more.
Down a little bit and to the left.
Right there. Click on that.
Okay.
Or click on the name, sorry. It doesn't open.
Oh,
Right.
I got you.
There
Okay.
we go.
And then go to the payload tab and expand the recs. No, I did push it. You can see that. Go to the preview tab Want to see the response? Expand the one that says OBJ for object, then the Rex, and then 0. No, it didn't work. Go to the presentation. Maybe those flows don't do anything. Let's go to the studio.
Hey, I hate to be that person.
good.
but we've got 2 minutes left.
Took more
Um,
than my fair share of time, so I appreciate it.
But what's the next action item?
We just need to look to see, we just need a valid. So the data's all saving, which is great. So nothing to do on this first page. Like maybe you can go in there and clean up some of the flows, because it's kind of weird that when you save, you have to click another link to open it. You know, it can all happen together. But on this here, we just need to go through the flows that run for each slide and make sure that those are set up correctly.
Okay.
And that's it. It's just this part now, and then everything should work.
Sounds like another office hours. All right. I'm going to turn it back over to you guys. I appreciate your time very much.
Yeah.
We have 1 minute for John. I'm sorry, John. What do you want to talk about it real quick? I can stop the recording. I'll just stop it right now.